Hello and welcome back to my channel, Talented Reads. Today's video, we are going to be talking about one of my favorite book topics, which is new releases. These are 2023 new releases that are coming out July and August. Disclaimer, I'll be putting up the publish date, which is as I saw it at the time of filming, but I mean, obviously, please check that because the dates are subject to change. And if you've been paying attention to any of my videos at this point, I don't read the full synopsis on books. I'm more of a blurb reader. It really doesn't take much to convince me to pick up a book. So the blurbs are really what I'm going to be reading here. If you need more information, look up the book yourself and decide how much you want to know. So let's get into it. Starting in July is Disturbance by Jenna Clark. Is it Clark? Yeah. Says a spellbinding, genre-bending debut that follows a woman's attempt to heal from an abusive relationship with the help of black magic. Says Disturbance reads like a poem but hits like a horror novel. What a mysterious, painful, yet strangely delicious slice of life. Not gonna lie, but this had me at strangely delicious. Sounds good. I mean, you can't shy away from black magic, you know? I mean, come on. Next is The Beast You Are by Paul Tremblay. This is a short story collection. It says these 15 pieces in this brilliant collection. The beast you are all monsters of a kind, ready to loudly and lovingly smash through your head and into your heart. Paul Tremblay is kind of a hit or miss. I've read some other short story collections, again, kind of a hit or miss. But he's very much an auto-buy for me, so, and I do love my monsters, so I'm excited to check this one out. Next is Dead of Winter by Darcy Coates. A remote cabin in the snowy wilderness that will teach you to trust no one. There are 8 strangers, 1 killer, and nowhere left to run. Ooh, yeah. You do know I love my stranded books. Next is All Night Pharmacy by Ruth Modesty. Fever dream of an LA novel about a young woman who commits a drunken act of violence just before her sister vanishes without a trace. That in itself just sounds very interesting. And I've been seeing some reviews from people who received an arc of this and have read it. And it's been pretty positive and kind of interesting to read. So now I'm even more intrigued to pick this up. Next is The Center by Aisha Siddiqui. Says in this dazzling speculative debut, a London-based Pakistani translator furthers her stalled career by attending a mysterious language school that boasts near instant fluency, but at a secret, sinister cost. I mean, that just sounds so interesting. And the cover is stunning. I like this kind of mysterious language, but like translator. Like, I don't think I've read that. I think most of the ones I've read, like, they've been authors. So this is kind of interesting. Next is The Boys in the Valley by Philip Fracassi. St. Vincent's Orphanage for Boys. Turn of the century in a remote valley in Pennsylvania. Here, under the watchful eyes of several priests, 30 boys work, learn, and worship. Peter Barlow, orphaned as a child by a gruesome murder, has made a new life here. As he approaches adulthood, he has friends, a future, a family. Then, late one stormy night, a group of men arrive at their door, one of whom is badly wounded, occult symbols carved into his flesh. His death releases an ancient evil that spreads like sickness, infecting St. Vincent's and the children within. Soon, boys began acting differently, forming groups, taking sides. It says it's The Exorcist meets Lord of the Flies by way of Midnight Mass. Oh my God. Literally everything I could hope for. Next is Thriller by Dawn Bruns. This is an anthology of authors who have written their own interpretations of the thriller song list. The anthology includes stories from Heather Graham, Jeffrey Deaver, William Kent Kruger, Dahlia Rose, and David R. Slayton, among others. So this is the second book. I think it's like the Music and Murder Mystery series. I think that's what it's called. I did read Hotel California last year, which was set on the Eagles song Hotel California. I love this concept and was so excited to see Thriller this time around. I did get an arc of this through NetGalley, so thank you Blackstone Publishing for the arc. Next is The Guest Room by Tasha Silva. Tess has a bad habit. She can't stop snooping through her guests' belongings. When Tess is forced to rent out her late sister's old room to pay the bills, the urge to rummage through her guest belongings overtakes her every thought. After her newest lodger, Aaron, takes the room, Tess finds his salaciously detailed diary, which chronicles his infatuation with a beautiful stranger. The diary, which appears harmless at first, slowly takes a darker, more menacing tone with each new entry. Ooh, that sounds good. I love this concept, and I don't think I've read a book with this kind of plotline. So, yeah, that sounds really good. Next is A Twisted Love Story by Samantha Downing. From the best-selling author of My Lovely Wife comes a reckless, delicious thriller that gives a whole new meaning to the dangers of modern dating. What's with this delicious thing? Again, Samantha Downing is an auto-buy, so there's, like, no way I would not pick this up. And I'm happy to have another good thriller. She writes some good stuff. Next is Camp Damascus by Chuck Tingle. From beloved internet icon Chuck Tingle. Beloved internet icon. Who the hell is Chuck Tingle? I don't even think I know who that is. Huh. I'll have to look that up. It says Camp Damascus is a searing and earnest horror debut about the demons the queer community faces in America, the price of keeping secrets, and finding the courage to burn it all down. So I have to admit I'm a little torn about this one. But the publisher is Torn Nightfire, which is a very trustworthy publisher. So honestly, I did add this to the list just because of that. Next is Silver Nitrate by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. From New York Times bestselling author of The Daughter of Dr. Moreau and Mexican Gothic comes a fabulous meld of Mexican horror movies and Nazi occultism, and a dark thriller about the curse that haunts a legendary lost film that awakens one woman's hidden powers. Ooh. Another auto buy for me. I always love Sylvia's books, and this one sounds so good. I do really love stories that mix like books with horror or books with horror movies, so love it. Next is The Deep Sky by Yume Kitsazi. Oh, I butchered that. I'm so sorry. I will learn to say that when I read the book. This is an enthralling sci-fi thriller debut about a mission into deep space that begins with a lethal explosion that leaves the survivors questioning the loyalty of the crew. They left Earth to save humanity, but they'll have to save themselves first. Explosion in space. Yes, please. Plus, this cover intrigues me. Like, you would expect a different cover with that synopsis, wouldn't you? Like, it almost seems too pretty or something. I don't know. I'm intrigued now. Next is They Lurk by Ronald Malfi. This is 5 novellas from the Master of Terror, featuring possession, parasites, and something monstrous lurking outside. I read Ronald Malfi's other short story collection, Ghost Written, last year, and I really enjoyed it. And I love that this cover kind of follows the same style. Ghost Written kind of had a theme, so I'm hoping, like this one, although the stories sound kind of different, like there's still a theme about them. I think that would be cool. Let's see. Oh, next we got Immortal Longings by Chloe Dawn. Inspired by Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra, is a fiery collision of power plays, spilled blood, and romance amidst a set of deadly games. You know, you had me at games. It also says this is her adult fantasy debut. I've read a few of her young adult books with mixed feelings, but I'm really interested in checking out her adult one now. Next is The Wonder State by Sarah Murphy. From the author of Girl One comes a spellbinding adventure about a strange power lurking in the Arkansas Ozarks, and the group of friends obsessed with finding it. Told in 2 enthralling timelines, The Wonder State is a stunning, immersive, follow-up to Girl One. Well, I guess that means I'll have to buy Girl One. How darn. Next is The Sun in the Void by Gabriela Romero Cruz. 2 women embark on an unforgettable quest that draws them into a world of dark gods and ancient magic in this sweeping fantasy debut inspired by the history and folklore of colonial South America. I do love books that have like a nice undertone or about a lore, and this sounds so interesting with the gods and the magic mixed in, so I'm there for it. Next is Her Little Flowers by Shannon Morgan. Readers of Eve Chase, Kate Morton, and Anita Frank will devour this bewitchingly atmospheric, melancholy modern ghost story set in the lush hills of England's Lake District. There, a solitary woman's quiet life spent in her crumbling ancestral manor house with the company of a child's ghost is dramatically interrupted when her estranged sister returns to share or a horrific story of cruelty and desperation from decades earlier. Huh. This just sounds witchy and atmospheric, and I love it. Ooh, yes. The Exorcist Legacy by Nat Seedloff. Since 1973, The Exorcist and its progeny have starred and inspired half a century of filmgoers. Now, on the 50th anniversary of the original movie release, this is a definitive, fascinating story of the scariest movie ever made and its lasting impact as one of the most shocking, influential, and successful adventures in the history of film. Exorcist is one of my favorite movies, and I cannot wait to freaking read this. I saw that this was coming out earlier this year, and I have been patiently waiting for July because I will be picking this up and reading it. Next, well, I guess lastly for July is The Hunt by Kelly J. Ford. For 17 years, a serial murderer has used the Presley, Arkansas annual hunt for the golden egg to find prey. Or at least that's what some people believe. Others, like the town's devoted eggheads, oh, that's funny, relish the tradition and think the deaths are just unfortunate accidents. But for Nell Holcomb, the town's annual hunt dredges up a particularly painful memory: her brother's death, long believed to be the hunt's first kill. As Easter draws near and the town's frenzy escalates, Nell must face her past and the hunt as the danger once again veers close to home. That sounds pretty damn good. And an egg hunt? Huh. Love it. All right. That was a nice lineup for July. Let's run through August. First is Family Lore by Elizabeth Acevedo. This is her first novel for adults, which is the story of one Dominican-American family told through the voices of the women as they await a gathering that will forever change their lives. Elizabeth Acevedo always writes such beautiful family stories, and so I will have no doubt that this adult debut will be spectacular. Next is They Fade Away by Alex Amortis. Arwen expects another boring day at school. Instead, he is met with a series of disappearances, but only he and his classmate Emma, of whom he has really spoken to before, remember those who have gone missing. Everyone else seems adamant that they've never existed at all. Suddenly, they are forced to discover who or what is behind the mystery at the school, before everyone they know and each other vanish into thin air. Oh, that was a weird sound. Sorry for the background noise. Yeah, I think this is such an interesting concept. What Never Happened by Rachel Housel Hall. It's murder in paradise as a young woman uncovers a host of secrets off the rocky California coast in a gripping novel of suspense by New York Times bestselling author Rachel Housel Hall. I've read several books by Rachel. They've all been all right, but they're all like decent mysteries, so I keep coming back for more. I can't help myself. Next is The Trap by Katherine Ryan Howard. An unsettling mystery inspired by a series of still unsolved disappearances in Ireland in the 90s, wherein one young woman risks everything to catch a faceless killer. Huh. The synopsis and the cover don't seem to go together, but when you look at them separately, like, I'm equally intrigued. Let's see. Oh, next is Sun Damage by Sabine Durant. The heat is intense, the secrets are stifling, and there is no escape. In a tiny village in Provence, 9 guests arrive at a luxury holiday home. The visitors know each other well, or at least they think they do. The only stranger among them is Lulu, the young woman catering their stay. But Lulu is not exactly the woman on the video the guests thought they'd hired. Turns out Lulu has plenty to hide and nowhere to run as the heat rises. This sounds like it needs to be like that one last summer read right before fall. Like, it even kind of looks like it could be a transitional summer fall book, you know? Just sounds like a fun time. And I did get this as an ARC through NetGalley, so thank you to Harper Perennial for that. Next is Maidens of the Cave by Lloyd Richards. This is a pulse-pounding thriller in which FBI agent Christine races to track down a serial killer who leaves a peculiar mark on his victims. Sounds good. Now, if you at all think the author's name sounds familiar, this is from the same author that went viral on TikTok. His daughter posted that video, like, showed him the video of, like, all these people buying his books and all that they're getting sold. Oh, that video just made me cry, and I love it. And I'll be honest, after watching that, I purchased his first book, so I'm so happy he's got a second one, and it sounds just as good, so. Next is Looking Glass Sound by Katrina Ward. This is a masterful story about friendship and betrayal, dark obsessions, and the impossibility of escaping your own story. I do love Katrina Ward's writing. I haven't read Last House on Needless Street, which has been very popular among BookTube. But I did pick up Sundial last year, which I really liked. So, again, this sounds like just another really interesting book from her. So, looking forward to it. Next is The Handyman Method by Nick Cutter. When a young family moves into an unfinished development community, cracks begin to emerge in both their new residence and their lives as a mysterious online DIY instructor delivers dark subliminal suggestions about how to handle any problem around the house. The trials of home improvement, destructive insecurities, and haunted house horror all collide in this thrilling story. It's a chilling domestic story of terror for fans of Black Mirror and the Amityville Horror. Count me frickin' in. And if I know Nick Cutter, we're going to be getting some body horror in this, which just makes it even more up my alley. Next is Mr. Magic by Kirsten White. Who is Mr. Magic? Former child stars reunite to uncover the tragedy that ended their show and discover the secret of its enigmatic host in this skin-crawling story of pop culture fandom and 90s nostalgia. Oh, this sounds so good. And I love this just like bright, obnoxious, kind of ominous book cover. She wrote Hide last year, which a lot of people didn't like, but I really enjoyed. But this kind of has that kind of like simple but bright book cover that cover had. So cool. I love that they kind of go together. Next is Dark Corners by Megan Golden. This is about Rachel Kroll, who is the true crime podcaster that was the star of Megan Golden's first book, The Night Swim. She returns to search for a popular influencer who disappears after visiting a suspected serial killer. Ooh. I read The Night Swim earlier this year, and I did enjoy it well enough that I would like to pick up this new one. And I liked the kind of like podcast element, so. And I'm actually hoping we get more of the podcast elements in this one than we got in The Night Swim, but still sounds just as interesting. Next is None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. Lisa Jewell returns with a, scandalizing new psychological thriller about a woman who finds herself the subject of her own popular true crime podcast. Oh, isn't that interesting? I feel like I've never read this before. Huh. Lisa Jewell is an auto-buy for me. I really like a lot of her thrillers. And this one sounds really good too. And again, we're all just loving this true crime podcast stuff, you know? Next is Whale Fall by Daniel Kraus. This is The Martian meets 127 Hours in this powerfully humane and scientifically accurate thriller about a scuba diver who's been swallowed by an 80-foot, 60-ton sperm whale and has only 1 hour to escape before his oxygen runs out. I mean, come on. That sounds so interesting. Wow. Could you imagine being swallowed by a whale? That would totally freak me out. Not that I would ever, like, be in the ocean to begin with, but wow. Oh, and of course the cover is just amazing. Next is Spin a Black Yarn by Josh Mallerman. This is 5 harrowing novellas of horror and speculative fiction from the singular mind of the New York Times bestselling author of Bird Box. I think the last short story collection I read from him was Goblin, which was interesting. And just based on this cover, like, it just looks creepy and dark. So that's intriguing. I did get an art of this through NetGalley, so thank you to Balancing Books for that. Next is Fever House by Keith Rawson. A small-time criminal, a has-been rock star, a shadowy government agency, and a severed hand whose dark powers threaten to destroy them all. Oh, this kind of gives me vibes of, like, We Sold Our Souls by Grady Hendrix. And what's that movie about that hand that, like, takes over everybody on Halloween? Oh, Idle Hands with Devon Sawa. Oh, that was a great movie. I'm kind of getting, like, both of those vibes from this. This sounds like it'll just be, like, a fun horror novel. I did get an art of this through NetGalley, so thank you to Random House for that. Next is Tell Me What I Am by Una Mannion. This is about 2 women wrenched apart by a family member's disappearance, must find a way back to each other in this haunting page-turner by the author of Crooked Tree. I do have a Crooked Tree, that her other book, but I have not read it. but it's gotten a lot of good reviews, and this one sounds equally as interesting. Next is Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. This is vampires and vampiros face off on the Texas-Mexico border in this supernatural western. Westerns are a hit or miss for me. However, I loved Isabel's debut from last year, and I'm so ready for her take on vampires. I think it's going to be great. Next is The Body Below by Daniel Het. This says Connor Whitman's life has taken on a pleasant rhythm, one that has been hard won after finally getting sober and putting in his time as a journalist at the local paper. One of the things that keeps him sane is a long solo swim in the mountain lake around his home, until he encounters something below the surface that chills him to the bone. This cover is so simple and eerie. Like, I have a feeling this is going to be a good, like, mystery thriller. But, I mean, it could also go in a not so dark direction. So, I'm pretty intrigued by this one. And then we've got The Hike by Lucy Clark. Burned out by both her marriage and work, Liz is desperate for an escape. More than that, she craves an adventure, a total reset. So, when she plans a vacation with her 3 best friends, she persuades them to spend 4 nights camping in the stunning mountains of Norway. Following a trail that climbs through lush valleys, towering peaks, and past jewel blue lakes, Liz is sure that the hike is just what they need. But as they stride farther from civilization, it becomes clear that the women are not the only ones looking to lose themselves in the mountains. The wilderness hides secrets darker than they could have ever imagined, and if they're not careful, not all of them will return. Ooh, ending the list with a good isolation thriller. Love it. Well, that is all I have for July and August. Drop a comment below. Let me know if any of these are also on your TBR list. Or if there are any others you have that I didn't mention. Would love to hear about that, because, you know, we all love adding more books to our TBR. And thanks so much for stopping by, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.